public hearing to consider a bond resolution in the amount of $7.1 million for certain improvements to the town of Webster Consolidated Sewer District. That's what the agenda item says. This is about, where did that go? About 12,000 linear feet of sewer main from Tibor Road, really where the Coke Fairlife project is, and meandering along through Xerox out to 36-inch main and films.
Correct.
Okay. Geez, you know, John, you're right, decorum, and I'm talking with Tony and this and that, totally, you know, do as I say, not as I do, right? Correct. It doesn't sound funny now as I say. Does everybody understand the decorum of a public hearing? I'm going to put the ballot down. We'll start the public hearing, which means that we have 4 people that signed in to speak, and we will have them up to the podium. Since there's 4, I'm not going to make any executive decision to truncate from 5 minutes down to 3 minutes like we did 3 weeks ago. You'll have up to 5 minutes to opine, pro, con, anything about this this bonding. So public hearing is open, and Michelle Anderson is first up.
Am I?
You are. You know, it's funny, Michelle. It's like Price is Right. You rode in the middle,
Yeah, and everybody.
and then everybody went below you.
Oh.
But I like the effort. And you know what Supervisor Nesbitt did? I mean, this guy is no rookie. He put it on the bottom where nobody's going to get underneath his signature, because the very foxy, coy Ron Nesbitt, he will be last. I respect the game.
Okay, so as it stands, I'm not going to say a lot, but I disapprove of adding an additional $7.1 million to the tab for the Fairlife plant. I was against it from the beginning, and there's lots of reasons why I won't go into here. I think it should have been decided before the town approved it to be constructed, and it kind of seems like it's being snuck in. But anyway, there's something else that I want to bring to your attention, and some of you may know about it and some of you don't, but it's called The Great Taking by David Rogers Webb. There is a video that he has produced himself online, and this is a free PDF you can print off. And given the times we live in, I would strongly suggest every member of the board and every member of the audience get it and read it and watch the video.
What's it called?
The Great Taking. There's quite a history here. And so based on that and what's happening now with the $7.1 million, I'm just going to read a brief excerpt from the chapter entitled Collateral Management. And it states, there would be an epic endpoint to the decades of seemingly out-of-control financialization, which served no beneficial purpose for humanity, but the devastating effects of which are apparent even now. It has been a deliberate strategy executed over decades. This was the purpose of inflating the global bubble entirely out of proportion with any real-world thing or activity, which must end in disaster for so many, with no pockets of resilience allowed to remain in any country. And so, again, I would ask, as a constituent of yours, that you please try to find this and read it. It's very important. We are now in the middle of what this is. And unless people stand up and educate themselves, there's no stopping it. And the end is not pretty. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Next up is, I hope I said this, Sigrid or Sigrid? Sigrid? Sigrid Burns. Great. Would you like to?
They called my name. You said your name.
Well, I came today just to urge you, as a longtime member of Webster, to carefully consider the background of the Coca-Cola plant. As you said, we are novices at building industries. And Coca-Cola, I have heard, has a bad reputation for pollution. And that could be either air pollution or sewage pollution. So I would suggest that you find out from previous members who have built buildings for Coca-Cola whether or not they are realistic about their estimated flow predictions. And to make sure that your extensions of the building are adequate, or possibly could be extended if it was needed. And as I say, air pollution is another consideration. I don't know anything about air carbon or any of that, but I do want to be sure that Webster doesn't pollute the air in Webster, or that Coca-Cola doesn't pollute the air in Webster. I guess I could complain that you have cut me off totally from TV of the town board, and the school board has already cut me off. When you canceled the community access TV, I have no computer, so I can't address the town board's computer. So I'm not saying that you should pay for something that I am the only one who needs it. I'll just let you know that I have a complaint. That's all.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Sigrid.
Good for you.
Next is Rick, I always do stories.
Amy, I'm not an attorney, so I hope you can trust a little bit about what I'm doing.
We hold you high.
But I'm a taxpayer and a resident of the town of Webster. And one thing that I think is
Can you
everyone
please
in this
state your
room can
name
agree
for
with
the
that.
record?
I'm sorry, say what?
Can you just please state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry, Rick Staracy, and I live at 1491 Providence Drive in Webster. And I think everybody would agree that the Coca-Cola Corporation is one of the richest corporations in the world. Whereas the town of Webster is not even the richest town in Monroe County, let alone the state of New York. $7.1 million that wasn't incorporated into the initial discussion, I don't know, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think they knew what was going on. They're pretty smart people. You don't build a company that big with that kind of money without knowing a few things. I'm concerned a little bit about the money because we're paying for it, right? It's coming out of our pockets, not their pocket. And yeah, they may be bringing a lot of revenue to the town, and that would be a good thing. But what about the after effect? We already have a huge, I don't want to call it a white elephant, let's call it a brown elephant in the Xerox campus, right? We gonna get another one? Is that what's gonna happen here? I mean, I'll probably be gone, but my daughter won't be, and her kids may not be. What are we doing here? Okay, so I think as representatives of the people that live in this community, it's the duty of the town board to do due diligence and investigation and make sure that our futures are not brown. Right? That we don't get another situation like we have with the Xerox campus. I scratch my head a little bit and don't understand why Fairlife didn't go in the Xerox campus. I know there's a lot of reasons, right? I'm sure they did a lot of investigation. I'm sure it'd be very, very expensive to clean that area up. What's that say to us about what they want to do and how much money they want to spend? Now, I happen to be for Fairlife to come here because I know it would bring jobs and I know it would bring revenue to the community. But it's got to be the right thing for the community. So I think we need to really, really discuss this thing in a much deeper basis, a much deeper way, to make sure that, you know, the future of this beautiful town is maintained and upheld. I had a couple other points, but not related to this, and I'm sure you don't want to hear about them.
You got a minute?
Okay, I got a minute and a half.
Shoot away, Rick.
I'd like to understand what $4.5 million in forward funding is. I'm confused. All right, our esteemed governor said that she's going to give the town of Webster
Village
Webster.
Oh, that was the village.
Yes.
Sorry. And then I heard something that I don't have any facts to verify, but I heard it, so maybe you can enlighten me. I heard that there's some things going on where the state is trying to bring low-income or middle or mixed-income housing into the town, like they've done in neighboring towns. Quite frankly, I was born and grew up in the city of Rochester, and then I moved to Webster. There was a reason why I moved to Webster. Okay? And it cost me more to live in Webster than it does in the city of Rochester. I don't want low-income and mixed-income housing in the village, in the town of Webster.
I'm pretty sure that got.
I don't know how-
She
I-
proposed
again-
that last year, and there was so much pushback from the legislature and private citizens that it was dead on arrival, didn't go anywhere.
That's great.
Which doesn't mean that
That's
she will not try again
I know
this
she-
year.
I know
But
she-
everybody is well aware of what her intent is.
Okay. I just, as a concerned citizen,
No,
right?
Very-
And I
very
figure you
good
guys,
point.
and that's a generic guys, you guys need to fight for us.
right, and I believe Supervisor Flaherty mentioned a while ago that 19 other town supervisors got together and put a letter together expressing their opposition to the direction she was trying to go and sent it. And I'm sure that there are counties throughout New York State where the town supervisors and village mayors got together and sent the same letters, which is why it went nowhere. And if it comes up again, I'm sure the same measures will be taken.
Just for quick information, Norman, there was a resolution at the Association of Towns meetings to this.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
You said there was a resolution by the
There was
Association
a
of Towns.
resolution at the Association of Towns annual meeting, which just concluded, to that effect, in opposition.
Opposing. Yeah.
That's great. I hadn't heard that.
Thanks,
That's
Charlie.
great to hear.
Just yes, ma'am.
Thanks for bringing it up, great point.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. So, we only have one speaker left tonight. Let's go. Pass Town Supervisor Ron Nesbitt. And Ron, as you make your way to the podium, before you start talking, I'm gonna saunter up there. I just want to make sure everybody in the room understands that Coke Fairlife is paying for this $7.1 million. They are paying for it. And that's, if you follow the board meetings and articles and our communication as best as we try to tell people, basically, Coke is going to pay the town in an, I'll call it an industrial use agreement for our sewer plant. The monies that is really the specific infrastructure that the town had to improve or upsize specifically for them to come into town. Now the thing is, and we have talked about this at many board meetings, I just think a board meeting or two ago, we had a presentation on it at a workshop, and explained that if we got our one-time tie-in fee to the sewer system from Coke, it would be about $12 million. Correct, Art?
That's correct.
All right? But between this pipe and the upsizing of the plant on Phillips Road, it's going to be more in the $24 million range of specific to Coke Fairlife town infrastructure cost improvements upsizing. So we said to Coke and Fairlife right from the beginning, there is no way that you're coming into the town paying us $12 million based on your flow for us, little old Webster. Because you're right, Rick. Coke's big. The state's big. The county's big. The fourth player in this is the town. And I've made this talk at this podium many times. We are going to guard against our taxpayers having an disproportional tax burden of town tax for this project. And we're holding the line on that. And that wasn't always easy. We've been in some interesting meetings. And Patty, you and I will continue to be in interesting meetings
Yes, we will.
with state representatives because the town is not going to be left holding the bag on this. So there's a misconception, and if you came to this saying, this is ridiculous, why are we paying $7 million for Coke? Which is essentially what you said, Rick, and I understand why you would say it.
That's what the sheet
We're not.
That's what the sheet said.
Well, the thing is, it's our infrastructure. So it's a
Would we-
municipal
If
infrastructure.
Coke wasn't coming here, would we change our infrastructure?
No,
Then
and
we're
that's
paying-
why if we're
then
building
we're paying.
$24 million of infrastructure, they're gonna have to pay for it. And then to your point, I don't mean to, I'm not trying to argue with you.
By the way, I like this kind of discussion.
I love it. Well, you come well by it. I can't tell you if they're gonna be in 20 years another white elephant and they leave town, leave another Xerox,
Brown out.
or whatever you wanna call it. Life's risk. We've tried to do this, and Paul, you're here tonight, so many conversations we've had with Coke and their attorneys have been with, hey man, I don't know if you're gonna be here in 10 years. You're a $46 billion company. Markets turn, state regulation turns, you could abandon this $800 million plant in 6 years. So we are building everything around, tightening up, making sure that the town gets reimbursed on their monies. Don't give me this 30-year payback. I don't believe in 30 years, because you're a big corporation. And our town has watched Xerox, a big corporation, leave like that. So that's fresh in our memories, and we've had to say to Coke and their attorneys, Charlie, if you're looking at us as being unreasonable because we're looking for this money to come in a shorter period of time, and you're like, oh, 30 years. No, I don't know if you're going to be here in 30 years. So, I just want to make sure the record's straight on that. And man, I hope that didn't ruin Ron's talk, because I know you probably wanted to say we're spending all this money and we're not getting reimbursed, but we are.
Let him talk.
Ron, you're up.
Jeez.
No, I'm gonna ask you, where is the legal binding agreement with Fairlight to show the residents how much they are providing to the 7 million and what the residents of Webster, not the village, are contributing to the 7 million? Where's the legal binding agreement resolution, Mr. Flaherty, that the Webster residents can see before you take this resolution this evening? Because it's irresponsible vote by the board members to do otherwise if you don't have an agreement. You're putting a horse before the cart. I would also like to know why...
We are putting the horse before the cart. Thank you. And you, Freudian slip.
Okay, horse before the cart. Cart before the horse. Thank you. I would like to know why the resolution for the $7 million bond was not published on the town's website 24 hours in advance as required by the law. Supervisor Flaherty apparently doesn't believe in the rule of law, as Jerry Goldman has already explained to him. You see, Mr. Goldman made sure the environmental application by Fairlight was put on the website 24 hours in advance, and he told Mr. Flaherty about that. Now the residents of Webster are hoping the other 4 members of the town board and town attorney will make it right for the residents of Webster to be able to read and understand these resolutions before a meeting as required under law signed by the governor back in November 21-22. And just for grins, the village board posts all their stuff 24 hours in advance. But the town of Webster can't. It's not good communications. It states in the public hearing notice, certain improvements. Well, what are those improvements, Mr. Flaherty? You couldn't define them for us? You couldn't let us know? What improvements are we doing? Also, in your July 19th, 2023 column, you stated, quote, the end result is that the EDU charge annually for the Webster residents will be $300 a year. Well, my charge on my January tax bill this year was $296.83. And you're going to bond another $7 million. And you're going to tell me that my next January sewer bill will only be $300? That's total hogwash. And you are not telling the truth to the Webster residents, and that's sad, because you're going to break that $300, and you know it. You know it. Oh, by the way, where are all these grants the town was going to receive for sewer and the highway garage to reduce the cost to the taxpayer?